Hi guys.
Hello.
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 How's it going?
Great. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm going
This is my
somewhere.
That's my English frog voice. He's part English, part frog. Also part
Good.
other things. Given the
Also
fact that he can
part.
talk. Yeah, so like part human and then also part American, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah. Especially because his accent sometimes goes off. And I just made it up, so I can't be consistent. I don't even know if I can do the voice again.
You totally could.
Thanks.
Do it.
All right. All right. That voice like this. See, now it's Southern. That's weird. How'd that happen? That's weird.
That is
I've never even
weird.
done a Southern voice before.
Weirdy.
This is my first
You-
time. Like,
You
actually.
weirdo.
That's actually my first time. That was pretty good.
It wasn't too bad. It sounded
Yeah.
a lot like Cassidy on Overwatch. I could tell that's where
Oh,
you.
I was.
That's who you modeled it after
Is that who I modeled?
subconsciously.
Wow. Dang. Pretty good. Pretty good. Welcome everybody
Hold
to.
on there.
Now, okay. Now, hold on. All right. Giddy up there. Welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. So where we're stupid in the beginning, and then we get real smart, we hope.
You get real.
or real something.
It's real something or another.
We have a real time. This is a show where we talk about whatever issues, problems, struggles, questions, about life and everything you guys are going through.
42.
And despite the idea that 42 is the answer to all things, we hope that we can be a little bit wiser and get down deep into whatever problems you're going through, sharing our experiences, sharing the experiences of others, and overall just trying to step in there side by side with you, and be a good friend. We don't have all the answers. Definitely can't claim that. We aren't professional psychologists, psychiatrists, or anything along those lines. But we can at least go through the experience in part with you. We can try to share some perspectives, try to encourage you, and try to give you some pointers. Overall, you guys are smart. You guys can discern what's good and what's bad, for sure. So sometimes you gotta go your own way. Go your own way. Sometimes you gotta do it our way. There's no song. But a lot of times you guys know what to do.
I'm gonna do
We're
things
just here to
my
help.
way.
Oh, there
It's
you
my
go.
way.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of songs about doing it my way. And I did it my way. There you go. So wow, Saule, I think I have that same exact problem. I'm blind in my ears and deaf in my eyes. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you so much. I'm happy to get the show on. It's always a great time to be here. Again, always like my favorite part of the week, for sure. Just being here with you guys and being able to, help out if we can. It's really wonderful. We've got so many amazing people in the chat. I want to go out and name them all, but I'm gonna miss some because we already got quite a few. But you guys in the chat, you guys add so much. So please. Talk in the chat if you feel up to it, because what you have to say is helpful too, even if it's just humorous. Sometimes I'll tell you what, humor can solve a lot of stress and a lot of problems and a lot of attitude checking, so humor is great. So we appreciate that too. Don't ever feel too bad about derailing and going off some side subject when we're talking, because sometimes that can be fruitful and helpful, even if it feels like it's not, even if it feels like it's a side topic. So anyways, yeah, I think I've done my part. Oh yes, last thing, if you want to submit a topic, because obviously you do, it's Don't Worry Wednesday, the best show on the planet, other than probably some other shows that might be better than it, so we're excluding those ones, but we're just like, this is outside of those, the best show on the planet. And so, of course, you want to submit a topic. You go to don'tworrywednesday.com. It's simple as that. You look at the title of the show. That's it. Don'tworrywednesday.com. Boom. Submit a topic. Easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right. So, how's everyone doing today? Joe, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm so great. You wouldn't even believe it.
Are you really, though?
Yeah, I got me some COVID, and I'm here,
I
which is
know.
great.
Which I'm impressed with. Joe has COVID. Please give him a round of applause for joining us today, for sticking up with the sickness.
Dude, I'm sitting in my chair. I go from here to my bed, and back to here, and back to my bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here and back to my bed.
That's me anyways. So.
And sometimes to the bathroom.
Ah.
That's a
rough,
longer
man.
walk,
That's
though. Like, my bedroom is, like, right over there, but, like, the bathroom's way that way.
They should move that bathroom closer.
I have to go through the mushroom forest.
That's right. You have to go through the mushroom forest to get to you. Amazing. That's accurate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what's gonna come out of my mouth today.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna be interesting. We'll see. We're gonna have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Hatsu, Rin, I'm surprised you were able to make it today. That's awesome.
Yes, we did have a nice chat about arson today, because like my PFP on Discord is a flame.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Which
Very
is cool.
nice. Yes.
And Hotsu asked, Rin asked, so when am I gonna get past this arson stage? And I'm like, I don't know, maybe never.
Maybe never. Hey, that's
maybe never. Oh, if I need arson tips, I will let you know.
Oh my. If you need some arson
I like burning
tips.
things.
Or you could just become a pyrotechnic, someone who's really good at fires. Like my sister.
Yes. Yes. And then you can go on the road with, like, heavy metal bands and, like,
oh
blow
yeah,
fire up into the air and stuff.
that'd be
like,
awesome.
Heck yeah.
I want to be a pirate technic. That way I can go out in the ocean
Arr.
and repair boats.
You want to
maybe not
repair
really.
the pirate ships?
Yeah, they need a technician on board, right?
Yeah,
Pirate
those
technic?
are called scallywags.
I want to be a scallywag when I grow up. That's what I said in school, and like, hey, little Ryan, 5 years old. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Scallywag.
I want to be a scallywag. Oh, sure you do. All right, on to the next one. A scallywag. Awesome. Wow, powder monkey? Yeah, that's actually accurate. Yeah, that would be it. That would be it. If I was a pirate technic, I would be a powder monkey. All right. Nice.
Blowing stuff up, man.
Yeah.
Just don't blow up the monkeys.
Right. Well, what do you say we get on with the show?
We could do that.
Yeah. Joe, thank you again for being here when you're sick, because I know that's rough.
Dude, it's my pleasure.
Good.
We'll see how foggy the brain is. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
COVID tends to give people brain fog, so.
Yeah, well, it's weird, like, because I'm mostly just really exhausted. And sometimes feeling, like, flu-ish, but mostly just really, really tired. So, I'm sitting here, If I fall asleep, just camera to you, and, then...
And don't put the camera back.
Yeah,
Princess and I will cover the rest.
Actually, no, actually, if I fall asleep, camera to Princess.
And
in fact, camera to Princess anyway, because she's the best looking of all of us. And so, like,
look at that.
Yeah, camera should be on Princess.
Yeah. All right. I'm sure she's had enough. She probably didn't want any of that. Oh, you're gone. That would have been good. Hold on, hold it. All right, there you go. All right.
A little to the left. Okay, tilt your head. Okay, good.
Oh gosh, I don't want to go through that. Don't worry.
This isn't a photo shoot.
That's right.
Oh man. Okay.
Cool. So, do we have a first topic for today? Yes. I see it.
You see
Perfect,
it?
perfect. Yep. This just in, anonymous. Okay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
and it's an
So,
update.
yeah, it's an update. This is
It's an
titled
anonymous update.
Update on Two Timing Boyfriend. Perfect. We had this one a couple weeks ago. So I'm interested to see where this goes.
Mhm.
And I hope it goes somewhere good. But the fact that we're getting an update makes me a little worried. So
Mm.
I
But don't
suppose,
worry, it's
but
Wednesday.
don't worry,
That's
it
that's
is
right.
Wednesday.
That's right. We're not
So
worried. We're gonna yeah, we're gonna read it.
that's right. All right. Well, anonymous. First off, I love you. So, um, Princess, whenever you're ready, you can feel free to go ahead and read it.
Guess what? My boyfriend and I broke up. He broke up with me over text for another girl after he cheated on me.
Mm.
Most of the relationship wasn't really there, but most of the time he was still nice to me. Like, who breaks up with their girlfriend, especially on their first day of school and on their dad's birthday? Not very funny. Shake my head. At the time of writing this, I'm still kind of in denial about it. I haven't been talking to him since, but he said that he still wants to be friends. I loved him, and I don't know why he led me on. He says he didn't and that he did and still does have feelings for me, but he's hidden his feelings for this other girl for years. Literally, how is that my problem? He should have gone to her instead of dating me just to crush my heart. I don't know if I'm angry. I don't feel angry. I just feel upset and disappointed. And I feel so defeated. I just felt done. But I knew I couldn't give up, especially on my dad's birthday. I called 988, and the person on the phone said I should become a lawyer, like I always wanted to and outrank him. He said he was a jerk, and he agreed with me. When I said that I should focus on finishing school and getting through college and getting a stable job before I date again. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to become a lawyer, and I'm going to be super rich, and I'm going to have a great life. The main reason I want to become a lawyer isn't the money, though, it's to help other people. I've been through a lot, and I want to prevent anything bad happening to others, or at least get them justice. Maybe one day I'll date someone again, but not for years. I would never force him to stay in a relationship he didn't want, and we ended on pretty good terms because I just didn't really say anything. But it still hurts. We did so much together, and I told him things I never told anyone else. I just wish that if he had loved this other girl that he had told her and not dated me just as a filler person. I know he loved me at least a little, but still. This is the girl he cheated on me with. This I think this isn't. Sorry. This isn't the girl he cheated on me with. This is a completely other girl. I wish him no malice, but I only hope he treats her better than he treated me. Every time I think a, a bit, it hurts, and I try not to think about it even when I am. It feels like it will never get better. I'm sorry it's so messy and unorganized. Well, that's mostly my thoughts, and all I have to say, thanks for listening.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's I mean, I think that's better for you. I mean, this is rough. Obviously, no one wants to be on the end of anything like this happening. Um, at all. It sucks. Legitimately, it's awful. Of course, it doesn't. Not only doesn't, like, it's like rubbing salt in the wound, right? It's like, okay, yeah, you just cut me open by cheating on me, and then now you go for a completely different person. Um, that's rough. I think one of the things right off the bat that I would say about this, instead of allowing this, I think this is great. I think what you're saying. I mean, go be a lawyer, not gonna date for a little while. I would say don't be jaded against dating. But it's totally good to not put that in your list of current desires. That is actually good. Um, Good for you and healthy. But yeah, one thing, instead of taking that as salt and rubbing into your own wound, recognize that none of this is your fault. It has nothing to do
Mhm.
with you. And this
Mhm.
man is someone who apparently loves a lot of people at one time, and that happens to some people. Um, their brain just has develops these feelings for multiple people at the same time, and they can't control themselves. And if they could, they would stick with one person, but apparently, so he is fickle, and he goes after one or the other, and leaves the others behind as soon as maybe some of the emotions die off for that person. Things like that. And I've met a couple of guys like this. In fact, I was one of my really good friends in high school was like this, and I felt bad for him, but I also was very upset at him for a lot of the terrible things he did to unfortunately, yeah, do this kind of stuff to a bunch of girls at our school. So yeah, that's a whole different issue, but it was kind of similar to what you're going. So, yeah, that's rough, and I'm really happy with how you're taking this, and that you're taking it in such a way that it leads you towards a better future, towards looking at the future rather than looking at the past and saying, what went wrong? Where can I fix things? Just ignore that for now. Like, seriously, I love that you're just like, you know what? The right track for me is let's go with life. Let's do my own thing for now. Let's make some. Let's continue my career. Let's become a lawyer and do awesome things as a lawyer, because lawyers are sneaking smart and awesome. And they're not everybody's friends. Depends on whose side you're on. But yeah. And I really like what you said about using the money to help your friends. Anyways, I've eaten up quite a bit of time. So
Keep eating, keep chowing down on that, man.
Time tastes just like
Chicken, because everything tastes like chicken.
Why does everything taste like chicken to you guys?
I don't know why everything tastes like chicken. You tell me.
Why do people say that? Nothing tastes like chicken except for chicken.
And most things.
Well, tofu tastes like tofu. Doesn't taste like chicken. You know those veggie burgers? They're like, taste just like chicken. You eat it, you're like, this tastes like a veggie burger. So I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Well, anyways, back to the topic. Joe, I'm gonna hand it over to you if that's all right. I'm interested to see what you've got, and I'm hoping for some good things. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of good things.
Me too. I'm hoping for good things too. Anonymous, first of all, my heart goes out to you. I am also in the camp of romance, schmomance. It can kiss my butt.
Yep.
It can leave me alone for now, you know? And who knows? Like, I don't know. I don't. Okay, I take that back. I don't hate romance. For a while, I would like be appalled at even seeing romantic scenes in movies or TV shows or whatever, but you can't escape it. There's always like some kind of romantic element in everywhere. And so there's romance in life, right? So, but here's the thing. One of the things I discovered, and you know, I'm kind of trying to rediscover this now. Anonymous, if you're hearing this, I also I'm almost done, I think, with a divorce finally. It's been dragging on for longer than it should have, and hopefully now we have a date for the 5th of October, and hopefully that's going to be it. But we'll see. It's been pushed back multiple times. But anyway, so relationships can be very difficult, and when relationships end, it can be even more difficult. And in your case, Anonymous, you have the freedom to say, hey, you know what, you don't have to go through the legal stuff, except for, hey, if you're going to go to law school, then you're going to get to learn about legal stuff, which I will applaud you greatly, because when people are in certain situations, they need legal counsel big time. Because one of the things I've learned about going through this, and then there have been a few other times when I've experienced the legal system, it works not anything like we expect it to. The things that we think are important in our lives, the legal system does not. The legal system is totally different. And so like different things mean different things. And you have to have someone that can help you navigate that. And so if you're going into law school, I think that's awesome. And I wish you the best, and I hope that I hope that you do well and pursue it and and chase it down, because that would be a very, very helpful profession for lots and lots of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it can have a good income for you too, which would be very good as well. It can lead to a very comfortable lifestyle. So I will say that my attorney is great. She's a shark, and I have to almost hold her back sometimes because she's all about going in and fighting. She's all about, hey, we're gonna get this, we're gonna get this, we're gonna get this, and I'm like, that's great, but let's remember the kids, and it's about them and not necessarily about winning. I mean, yes, winning is great. But the real winners here have to be my kids, right? And so if you can, take that, go after it attitude and then temper it with some heartfelt, understanding that there are people involved here, that'd be super great. But anyway, this hurts, Anonymous, and I'm sorry. I also have been on the receiving end of this type of situation, and it's not fun at all. It really, really hurts. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, because it breaks my heart just to hear about it, and to to think about all the things that go through our heads when someone chooses another person over us, and when we've
Mm-hmm.
devoted ourselves to them, and then they do this, and it's like we start to question ourselves, we start to question our own value, we start to question our own worth, we start to question, did I bring this upon myself somehow, and I don't know, I'm the type of person that always likes to find where I'm responsible so I can fix it, so I can do something about it, because I was told a long time ago that unless I'm responsible, I can do nothing. Like, I'm powerless in there. And so I try to find a way for me to share in the blame so that I can do something to fix it. But sometimes in these cases, there's nothing I did to be blamed for, right? There was nothing I did wrong. Or maybe there was, but it wasn't like that. I mean, it wasn't that wrong, right? So I don't know. It's it's one of those moments where in your heart you might question who you are. And it sounds to me, Anonymous, like you're on the right track, because you have an idea of where you want to go. You have a path. You have determination to get there. And you can absolutely romance that path in your life. I remember when, this happened to me in a previous relationship, and then that relationship ended up ending, and I was heartbroken for, 9 months or whatever, and just hurt really bad for a long time. And um I can remember turning my determination to be a good musician. That was my romantic pursuit. And I I threw myself into it. Because I mean, when we think about romance, it's we think about two people falling in love, they have this romantic thing, and then, they get married, they live happily ever after, and then da 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 da, right? We kind of get this thought in our head, this cultural idea of that's what romance is. But you can romance anything. You can fall in love with what you do. You can fall in love with your chosen profession. You can fall in love with an art form, and you can pursue it, and you can throw your whole self into it and go after it. And so this can be a romantic pursuit for you, to pursue law school and becoming a lawyer and helping people in those times when they need help. Man, if I ever touch the legal system, I want to have somebody that can help me. I have done it both ways, where I've faced the legal system on my own and gone in and talked to all the people in suits and, wore a suit myself so I could try and look the part and do all this stuff, right? And I've also done it with legal representation, and it's so much better when you have someone who's trained in that area. Because otherwise, holy cow, it's a mess and you got to look up all kinds of stuff and study, and it's crazy. But I don't know. As far as this whole situation is concerned, you're right to cut off contact. I don't know if you have much to say to him anymore. And you don't really have to say anything. And sometimes wounds like this, the only cure is time. Because when we feel this deeply wounded, and we go through all the rigmarole, and sometimes there's trauma involved, and sometimes there may have been abuse involved, and so like you may have to go through a point of rediscovery, of forgiveness, of grieving the loss. But really, to heal through something like this requires time. And so then how do you pass that time is the question. There are lots of ways you can do it. I've seen lots of different ways that people have passed that time. Some resort to the comforts of drugs or alcohol, or, even, more benign things like food or gaming or movies or whatever, right? But something to help them pass the time. And it encourages me, Anonymous, to see where your head's at with your passion for pursuing a legal career. Because that can be a great way to pass the time. You can throw yourself into it and throw your focus into it. And the more time we spend focused on other things, the more that time will pass and those wounds will heal and you'll grow through it. And on the other side, you'll be stronger. You'll be better. You'll be more equipped to handle things in the future. You'll be more equipped to see warning signs earlier so that you don't have to face something this drastic again. But I want to also, remark that try really hard not to let yourself become bitter. It may be hard. It's hard to not be jaded against marriage, to not be bitter against marriage. After going through the marriage that I went through and then now going through this divorce, it'd be really easy for me to be bitter and to be jaded and to just think marriage is a horrible thing. I remember a guy that I used to work with, he was still married, but he used to complain about his marriage all the time and his wife and blah 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 blah. And he'd be like, "Man, if man were meant to be married, he'd have been born that way." And just all this crazy stuff, right? And so he'd be like, "So why don't you get divorced?" And he said, "Because I can't afford it." And I'm like, "Well, And I understand that even more now. Divorces are very expensive. But there's another friend, a friend of my brother's said at one point, he said, "You know why divorces are so expensive?" And he's like, "What?" He said, "Because they're worth it."
Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh, dang.
But, in some cases, yes.
Some cases, yeah. Oh
Mhm.
man. You better be
Yep.
worth it. Oh gosh. Not
But the
because of the
thing is
expense, but
right, exactly. It's tough, but I tell you, I look around me and I see people with successful marriages. I see Ryan's brother and his wife and their children, and they have a very successful family unit that love each other and that have shown that it's possible. My brother and his wife and their kids, they have a very successful family unit. Now, this is my brother's second marriage. His first marriage was abusive situation. It was awful. And they ended up getting divorced and they didn't have any kids together, so they didn't have to worry about custody stuff. But, I've watched around me people that have had successful relationships and that have devoted themselves to each other. And they've done it in a proper way with God at the center of their relationship. And they really, truly love each other. And so I can't be bitter against marriage in general because I see it succeeding. It's just right now, it's not for me. And that's okay. So, anyway,
Mhm.
Anonymous, thank you for the topic. I have spoken for a long time. Hopefully, it was good. And I'm going to turn it over to Ryan because he's got better things to say.
Oh, we'll see about that. Um,
Yes.
no,
I
honestly,
agree with my assessment of that.
I I like doing that sometimes. You say a statement, you're like, yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with me. I'm right. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
um. But yeah, Joe, I think that you said a lot of really good, important things. And yeah, it's true. It's easy to be jaded against being in relationships, being married, entering that whole realm when what you experience is what you experience, or what you see other people experiencing is what you experience, right? Sometimes you grow up in a world where people are just having bad time after bad time in a certain area, and it's just like, why are you guys even participating in that? It's just because it's all bad. That's all you see. Um, and yeah, I think that it's easy to just take it at face value and the idea. So I appreciate you talking about that because that is important. Um, not that marriage is for everybody. I mean, it isn't. It isn't. It isn't for everybody. But um, it shouldn't be counted as gross or grotesque because it is meant to be beautiful and it is beautiful done right. Anything that's done incorrectly can be gross.
hmm
Sandwiches can be great. But putting rat poison on your sandwich is a gross sandwich, right? That's
Maybe.
just
Have
true.
you have you ever tried it?
Yes. And now putting dirt and arsenic on your sandwich is just not gonna be a good sandwich for you.
hmm
And don't call it a sandwich. Call it what it is, poison. You know.
Uh-huh.
And that's yeah. So you have to distinguish. It's like you can't be mad at something that is beautiful because what you were given wasn't that thing. So would you try green rat poison and ham? No, I wouldn't. Sam, I am.
Sam, I am.
No. So anonymous, you gave us in through Princess here. Said, reading back, it's so funny. Like, how did I not see the red flags? Also, I'm not against dating. Just want to focus on school for a while. Fantastic. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. Uh, how did you not see the red flags? Oh, that's so easy. It's so easy. When you become enamored, when you're really
Mhm.
into something, uh, your eyes will avert you from red flags and they'll dismiss them because you have this idea that you want to chase that a lot of times you're like, I'm willing to deal with those red flags to get what I want. I'm
Mhm.
or I'll deal with them later, or nah, they're not a big deal. Um, a lot of times you'll go in to trust people without truly even knowing them yet. You know, it's important that you really take your time sometimes in these relationships, because red flags are there, and you should be looking out for them. But you know, not everybody's evil. That's the thing. We can't just assume everybody's evil, because that would be dumb. You will end up with a life where you talk to no one, right? Red flags aren't entirely bad, because there's something that you might be able to work on later in your relationship if it gets that far, where you guys have a real level of respect, where you can count on each other and say, hey, help me in this area, let's do it together. You know, that's beautiful. That's so awesome. That's so rare. So rare. I can tell you that out of like probably 99 relationships, only 1 or 2 of them probably actually have a level of respect where you can go, hey, help me with this problem, and you work on it together. Because most of the time, the person is really just trying to look good to you. And they're not going to give you their problems to help them solve. Yeah. So, So red flags, how did you not see them? It's normal that you didn't see them. Everyone, you know, they say love is blind. Well, the in-love experience can be blind at times. Not always, but it can be. And unless you open your eyes to look for those things, a lot of times you kind of go in blind. I mean, you go in blind, but you also go through the whole thing blind, and that's... So anyways, moving on, I wanted to talk about something interesting. And you're already doing this. Joe talked about it a little bit too. But I wanted to give my own little personal experience. Breaking up with someone can be, yes, very painful. It is. It's very painful. But it can also be a wonderful thing. In my experience, there have been times where a breakup has taught me the most about myself, about other people, and has caused me to start going in learning more. I remember one time I broke up, and what it caused me to do was go, what went wrong? And I picked up a book about romance, and I started reading it. And I learned a lot. I ended up reading for like 12 hours straight. It was the first book I ever read in my whole life, in one day. And I read for 12 hours straight. This is a book that other people would probably read in like 4 hours. I'm a slow reader. So, but I picked it up. I ate, but eating was the only time I put it down. It was called The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, in case you're curious. But it taught me a lot about people. It taught me even more than just romance, just friendships. It taught me a lot. And then as I looked back upon the relationship, I recognized so many different things that I can learn about myself, about other people, about the way that the brain works, what traps I fell in, other things, and what good things came out of it, especially. And then where I decided to go from there. So I think you're already doing a lot of that, and so I just wanted to encourage you to keep that mentality. I think that that's important. That's helpful rather than destructive, because you can sit there all day long and be self-destructive. I love what Easy said. I know Easy's passed and he's been through some stuff on this. You can't internalize the issue. You can't take all of the issues and point it at yourself and say, yeah, this is my fault. You will just destroy yourself, as Joe was saying, because it's not your fault. Another person's choices, another person's choices. They fall back on their word. They fall back on their word. That's not you. And you have to recognize that anything that they did wrong, it's not your fault. I had a relationship with a gal. We went for like 5 years. And the promise was that she was going to move out to America, because she was a nurse and she was going through her nursing degree, and then she was going to get her certificate to go to America. Well, she was in the Philippines, by the way. So We started dating, and it was good. It was good. It was healthy, and eventually she got complacent because she recognized that no matter what happened, I would love her. Well, years went by and years went by, and she never even decided she wanted to finish her nursing program because she didn't have any push. She didn't have any drive. And the whole time I was sitting there going, it's okay. You know, I still love you. It's okay. You'll get there eventually. Right. And I was being supportive, but I was being supportive in the wrong way. I was supporting her complacency rather than supporting her getting off her butt and doing some stuff, you know? And it was interesting though, because just as the relationship ended, because I'd recognized this had happened, and I said, well, there was a lot of different reasons why I ended up saying I wanted to end the relationship. One of them was that I had basically fed her complacency. I didn't, you know, that wasn't good for her, and it wasn't good for me. But also, you know, there's a lot of other things, but they weren't like, it wasn't a toxic relationship. There weren't like bad things going on. It's just personal experiences and personal things that I needed to tend to. So, and she just wasn't the one for me, plain as day. So anyways, as soon as the relationship ended, that week, she was back in school. That next week, she was in the hospital, like working on figuring out some of her own issues that she should have been trying to solve for years, physical issues, and perhaps some mental ones. I don't think there were mental ones, but perhaps. Because she was pretty good, pretty smart, and pretty emotionally under control and all that kind of stuff. She wasn't depressed or anything, so I don't think there were any mental issues, but physical issues for sure that she should have been trying to fix, and she was just complacent about it. I mean, she tried a little bit here and there, but she never went try to figure it out for sure. Anyways, so it was interesting because what I had found was that through the breakup, it really empowered her to start working on herself again, working on getting her things together, moving forward in life again. And that was really needed for her. And so it was actually interesting because that means that the breakup was like a success. It was like, it was good. It was a good thing. Like, it was a recognizably good thing. Right? And so I think that you can say that about your situation too. Is it recognizably good for your ex? No, it's not. Not from anything that we can see here. Maybe. I mean, maybe you're just not the one. And he should be dating someone else. I mean, honestly, as you had that, you're like, why drag me along on this? We should be dating the other person, you know? Mm-hmm. So in the end, your breakup is a success because look at you now. You're on your way to making something more of yourself, which means you have more to offer to other people, more to offer friends, more to offer possible romantic interests later. Because the better off you are, that's what you offer, right? And so, I mean, we talked about this last stream, but yeah, I think it was, or maybe it was 2 streams ago, but yeah, I think what you have here is a successful, a good, a healthy breakup, at least on your part, and hopefully on his. If not, then, oh well, you can't control that, but you can control yours. And so I just wanted to say in all that, you're already doing all these things, right? I'm just here to encourage you and say, keep on doing what you're doing because you got it. You've got it. Like, you know, like, seriously, you've got it. You're not tearing yourself apart. You're using this energy, this anger to fuel you and moving forward. And I just want to applaud you and just say, way to go. You're doing it. Mm-hmm. You're doing it right. Mm-hmm. So way to go, Anonymous. Keep it up. Yeah. Joe, did you have anything else you wanted to add to this?
Not really much. I would say, Anonymous, if you feel like it, you can DM me on Discord. I'm pleb6992. We can talk about the glories of being single and how awesome it is. And how much better it is than being in a relationship. or whatever, doesn't matter. But anyway, I just wanted to applaud you, like Ryan was saying, that like you're using this, you're fueling yourself to, move forward. And I think that is absolutely great. And you can turn that into your new romantic pursuit is to like what Ryan was talking about. You will make yourself better. You will put yourself in a better position. You will find a better station. It will be awesome. And there will be heartache to deal with as you go through this, but that will diminish with time.
Hmm.
And the longer you can stay focused on something productive, the faster that time will go by. And before you know it, it'll just be like oh wow, man. Oh, that was something. Huh. And you might still feel a little bit of a twinge of just, oh, yep, that got me. That got me. But you know what? I know what to look for now, and I'm in a better spot. And you're going to be in a better spot than you ever would have been with this person because, I mean, if he had been harboring feelings for another person the whole time, like, or at least for a long time while you guys were together,
Yeah,
that's
geez.
not a devoted relationship.
Rough.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine being with someone who loves somebody else? Holy cow.
Yeah, that's. I would hope no one would have to go through
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's a better spot to be.
that. Oh gosh. Yeah, I know, easy. I'm sorry. Oh,
Yep. When you are in a serious committed relationship or marriage and you are not first place to your spouse other than God, that's a bad spot. So
yeah, that's
you're in you're in a better spot now amidst the pain and the turmoil and the hurt and everything like that. This is a better place. And time will heal this wound. I promise. I promise. I've been around for a long time. And yes, I know this pain and it hurts and it stinks. But you can get past it and you're doing the right things. So I applaud you. And that's all I had.
awesome. Awesome. Well, cool. Thank you so much, Anonymous, for this topic. We appreciate it. You would reach out to us and, just have us along for the very struggling but also hopeful prospect of the future ride that you're going through and the roller coaster of it all. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So, you guys ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, perfect. This is from another Anonymous. It's titled Toxicity and Second Chances. And Princess, you can read it whenever. Oh, you are
You
muted.
may
I'm
have to
sorry.
unmute yourself. Though.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
I am part of a friend group running out of our common hobbies and whatever. Over the months, we've had a pretty peaked drama between two of our four friends, and it sort of escalated. He was very unhinged, I guess. He's been, I could say, alienated by her and the others, and he felt angry being left out of some of the stuff we do. He wanted attention, and the fact that I was the only one giving it sort of gave me a peek into his thoughts on the others, and it is very toxic. He is hypocritical and he is very emotional. I've tried to help him get back for months, but his toxicity grew, calling the others names behind their backs as his frustration grew, and then telling me he wants to get close again. I've asked if he'll try to change and helped him, but as time went on, he just became more angry, more furious, more hurtful. His words were mean, too mean for me. So I spilled all of what he had thought to the others. And naturally, they kicked him out, a quick confrontation, and formally ending contracts. As now, I'm the only one who keeps in touch with him. I feel pity. He's threatened to do things because of it. I had hope, I lost it, and it returned now. I'm still willing to give him a chance, but they don't. I've been thinking, was it my fault? Would he have really changed if I had helped him more, had I not snitched? My girlfriend says he's emotionally manipulating me so that he can come back. But I can feel him, and I know it hurts. Or at least I hope I do. And it rends me to the bone, through my heart. I promised him I would try to convince the others when he's changed, for the better now. Was that the right choice? Everyone should have chances, right? From Anonymous.
Mm.
Wow. This sounds exactly exactly like to the T of some things that we've had to deal with on our Static P Friends server multiple times.
Mm.
I'm sure Princess might actually have some things she wants to say about this subject, but she definitely doesn't have to. I could just see her like, yeah. This is a hard spot to be in, especially when you're the one who has the empathy and the ability to get close to someone who is on this fighting end. And it can be tough. It can be really hard, and finding the answer and ways to go through these types of things. You know, not everybody's the same, so there's no one cut through answer, but there are some answers. There are some answers. And the question often ends up, how much are you willing to experience the toxicity and be a weight to this toxicity in hopes that they eventually change? What I mean is, like, how much are you willing to be the rock that this acid sits on, slowly maybe eating at you, hoping that it finally gets diluted by the rain? You know, it can be rough. And I will tell you, not everybody's cut out to be that rock. Not everybody is meant to be. Not everybody has the heart to be. Not everybody has the patience to be. Not everybody has the experience to be. And if this is your first rodeo, I just want to prepare you that one thing right off the bat, if you are going to go through with this and decide that you want to help this person, for now, if this is your first rodeo, or second, or maybe even third, don't let your emotions get involved. Because it will crush you. It will. Because this person will eat up all of your time. They will eat up all of your time, leave you drained, and left sitting there going, how do I solve the problem that is? And then you end up being their crutch, and they rely on you for all their emotional needs. And in the end of everything, something pops, breaks down, you both go your own way, and you wonder, did I help at all? I've seen this time and time again. With myself sometimes, and with other people. Can you make a difference? Absolutely. But must do something. And I don't mean to make it sound noble. It is. But don't get the imagery that you're a knight in shining armor, because you're not. At all. You won't ever be considered that by this person. If anything, I'm sorry to say it, but if anything, you're a shiny tool. And that's okay, as long as you don't internalize it. And you learn where to put the boundaries. You learn to stand up for yourself and what is right. You learn to be hard on this person where you need to be. That's not easy. That's why it's not for everybody. So, yeah. That's what I'm starting with. I'm sorry to hit so hard, but I want to go in this realistically with you, because, like I said, I've seen it so many times, and it's real. You can make a difference, but the warning signs are immense because, yeah, it's rough. It's rough out there. And I want to be real with you on. I want to be real with you. I don't want to make it sound like it's going to be easy. I don't want to make it sound like it's glorious, because muddy, dirty, bloody battle out there. And in the end, the only thing you have to ride on is hope. So anyways, I can talk more later. I got lots of things to say about it, but I'll shut myself off right here. I'm gonna give it over to Joe, who's been a pillar in my life, whether he understands it or not, in really helping guide me on what is right and what's wrong, and just helping me become a better person since I've met him continuously, just by him being himself and becoming a better person himself, being that guiding light to me. Even though you might not understand or see that, for me, that's the reality, and I appreciate it greatly. So I'm going to give it over to him.
Wow. I was not expecting you to say that about me, Ryan. Holy cow. Now I gotta live up to those words somehow. Great. Well, Ryan and I have been through a lot of stuff together. You know, we've been pretty close friends for a long time, and so he's seen me in good moments and really rough times, and you know, it's been pretty amazing. But I tell you what, Anonymous, I applaud you and I love you. You strike me as an empath, and I'm with you, because that's I may not be as much of an empath as some, but I do feel with others. And so I understand when you see somebody hurting, that you can hurt with them, and you can feel how they're feeling. And you can then have pity on them, and you can care, and you can want to help, and all these things, and I applaud you for that, and I love you for that, because we need more people in the world that care about how other people feel and can look past sometimes the toxic behavior, the damaging behavior, and see a person in there that's hurting, because sometimes that's what needs to happen. They need to be seen as a person that's hurting, not as a problem that needs to be kicked out, but sometimes that needs to happen to protect the group, right? Because that behavior needs to be removed. And if a person is only going to have a certain type of behavior in a group or in a server or wherever it is, that behavior can poison everybody else who maybe isn't as good at seeing the person behind the madness. But here's the thing, Anonymous. You're this person's friend. And being a friend comes with boundaries. You are not this person's therapist. They need a therapist. I would probably, if you are in contact with this person, I would ask them if they have a therapist, or if they've seen a therapist or thought about seeing a therapist, because some of these things that they're talking about, I mean, you even have in here where was it? He wants to get close again. He'll try to change. Something about how you were concerned. Where is that? Help to try back for months, calling others names behind their backs. He's threatened to do things because of it. So anytime somebody's threatening to take some kind of an action, whether it's to hurt themselves, to hurt others, to do something like that, there is something going on in their head There's something that this pain they're going through that is causing that's caused some kind of a mental catch. And that needs to be worked through by somebody who understands and who's not emotionally attached to this person, like through friendship or whatever. Ryan, you talked about not being emotionally attached to not, like, if this is your first rodeo, right? Don't let yourself get emotionally attached to this person because they will use you. You will be a shiny tool, right? That's not what a friend is.
Right.
A friend loves you and you love them back. And they care about you and you care about them back. And yes, you help each other as you struggle. You hold each other up, right? Through thick and thin. You celebrate victories. You share in problems. And like that's part of being a friend. But there's also the role of therapist. I remember having this talk with my best friend, my longest standing best friend. He was going through divorce. He was going through alcoholism. There was all kinds of stuff happening, right? It was just crazy for him. And I remember having this conversation with him and, he was crying and I was crying and we were talking and, there's all kinds of stuff going on. And I'm like, look, dude, I am your friend. I would do anything for you. I will get in my car and drive over there. It's 2 hours. I don't care. But you know what? I'm not your therapist. And and he hadn't seen his therapist in like 3 or 4 weeks. And I was like, you need to get back in touch with your therapist because there's stuff going on here that he can help you with that I can't. I do not have the tools that a therapist does, that a counselor or a psychologist or whoever, right? Somebody who's a professional that understands how the human mind goes through some of these things and can identify those problems and those catches and help resolve them. The therapist does not resolve an issue for their patient or their client or whoever. What they do is they point out where that patient needs to dig in and help themselves in order to heal. Now, I feel bad for my therapist. She's got a lot of baggage of mine to deal with, right? There's been many years of turmoil, and so we're plowing through it, right? We're taking it one step at a time. We're taking, going through all that stuff. But what that does, I still have friends that I confide in that I love, that love me, and that I share with, but they're not there to counsel me through it. That's my therapist's job. They're there to be my friend. And so I would say, yes, anonymous, be this person's friend. Be their friend. Love them. Understand, hey, look, they're hurting. There's a person behind all that hurt. You see that. You recognize that. Oh, and by the way, it's not your fault. None of this is your fault. The fact that you snitched, it's, maybe you could have not, maybe you could, who knows? It worked out the way it worked out. It doesn't matter. That's not the problem. And that's not the trigger. That's not the thing that caused the issue. The issue was already happening and was going to happen. It just played out this way. And it is not your fault at all. But if you want to be this person's friend, be this person's friend. Absolutely. Love them. And point them to therapy. And say, have you ever thought about talking to a counselor? Because seriously, there are things, and you can say exactly how I said, look, I'm your friend, but there are things that I cannot help you with here. I'm not equipped to help you with this. You need someone who understands this stuff. You need to find either a counselor or psychologist or psychiatrist or somebody that can help you unpack this and get to the root of it, because, you know, I just had to tell my friend, I was like, look, I'm not qualified. I'm not qualified to do this. And if I try, I could, this could end up worse if I try to get in and try and solve these things. And if I try and point you in the right direction, the best direction I can point you in is to a therapist. And so that's probably the way I would go with it. But, you know, make sure that you have the boundaries. You're a friend. Maintain the boundaries of friendship and understand that you're not equipped to be their therapist. That's okay. So, I don't know. That's pretty much what I have. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Ryan.
Awesome.
And he and Princess can take
Duke
it
it out over there. Yeah, thank you so much. I was just gonna ask, Princess, would you like to share some thoughts before I go?
Only if you're willing to wait at least a little while. I
Uh,
don't have a small list to
oh,
say, so.
it's fine. It's fine. I'll definitely opportunity. I mean, yeah, I'm supposed to. I just wanted to give the offer. So, yeah. I don't know. She's thinking now. Okay.
Wait, you said you're going to take the opportunity. Does that mean you're going to take the opportunity to speak or to
Yeah.
give it to Princess?
Yeah, that's what I meant. I was going to take the opportunity to speak because Princess isn't ready yet,
Gotcha.
so that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Unless you were saying that you were ready.
I was just saying it was gonna be long.
Oh, you're just saying it's going to be long. I misunderstood what you were saying. I thought you were saying that I had to give you a couple more minutes for you to be ready.
No,
Oh,
but you can give me
okay.
more time. I can come up with more stuff.
Oh, no, I'll give it over to you then. I'll totally give it over to you. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. You're
No,
on.
I just if you I didn't want to mess up your train of thoughts if you had things
No,
because mine are
go
written
ahead.
down. But.
I fly by the seat of the Holy Spirit's pants.
Holy
Well, they're
Spirit
good
does not
pants.
have pants.
You're right. He's not a physical being and he doesn't have pants. Naked.
Birthday suit, Ryan. Birthday suit.
Whatever.
Oh my.
So I'm going to start with an apology in advance that I cannot cover everything possible that would be helpful for this. And if any of this comes off as offensive, that is again not my goal, but it may come off that way a little bit. I will start with number 1. It is not your responsibility to fix them, help them, or for them to change. It is not your responsibility. That doesn't mean that you can't help, and that doesn't mean that you can't try, and it doesn't mean they can't change. But it is not your responsibility for you to be taking care of them. You've got one person that's your responsibility to take care of, unless you have kids, and you might, kids are dependent on you. But otherwise, you have one person, which is yourself. Can they change? Most certainly. We have seen many cases in the Static P server of people who needed to change and fix some things about themselves for themselves. They did, and they came back, and it was great. We've had plenty of people who needed change, tried, weren't really ready yet, and still tried to come back anyways and force their way in, and we had to tell them, "No, you can't just force your way in. That's not how things work. We have rules and expectations that need to happen for the safety of everyone." Yeah. So let's do that. The other thing, you kind of almost sounds to me like, that you're wanting to convince people that they're ready to come back. To me, it doesn't sound like they're ready for that. And that's a very important thing to recognize is where they're at. And that definitely takes, as Brian and Joe have said, a certain amount of distance and separation from your emotions to look at them in a more logical sense, to look at the checklist of, okay, what are their behaviors and patterns? What are they doing? And does that align with change that they were looking to have happen. Because people can change, but the only person that can make them change is themselves. The
Hmm.
world can say that, "Oh, well, this person changed me," or, "Oh, this person." These people inspire us to change.
Right.
But the person who actually changes us is only ourselves. Only we change ourselves. Our experiences can make us have certain tendencies or, directions that we trend towards or all that. But in the end, as hard as it is, and I know this being an empath, that it is ultimately your choice, your actions, and only you that changes you. Um, uh, Point number 3, 2 wasn't named, but that's okay. Point number 3, they don't need to come back to get better or change. They do not need to come back to that friend group, that space, wherever they're at. They do not need that to get better or change. They don't need those friends. They don't need any of that. They don't technically even need you. That doesn't mean that you can't help inspire them, as I've said, and it doesn't mean that that can't be a thing. But you really need to have a good foundation in yourself to be strong in order for you to do that. And, you know, that kind of leads into point number 4 that I'll get back to in a moment. There's many people who have earnestly wanted change or have tried to change, and there was many times where those people needed a different space. Being in the space that they were at, the space that we have, it's a great community. But even then, it's not the best space for everyone to be. Sometimes they get support that isn't actually the support they need. Sometimes, they're just in a space where they aren't able to be their best selves, just based on whatever influence is there. So, and that's okay. It's okay if that's not the place that they're meant to be. They might think it's the place they're meant to be. They might really want it, but that doesn't mean that it is, if that's what they want. Because what we want and what we need are like two different circles, in a chart.
Hmm.
Sometimes they overlap, and there's a place where want and need overlap. That's like a happy zone. Yay! Sometimes there's wants that are not in the need circle. Those are bad desires usually, but not always. But they're desires. And then there's needs, things that you actually need to have, and they aren't always what you want. You might need to eat, but you might not want to eat because of wherever you're at.
Hmm.
You still need to take care of your needs, even if it's not a desire. And then that brings me to point number 4, which is you are not your friends, and they have no responsibility to accept them back. They are their own people who have their own hurts, pains, experiences, and all that. And the only person that's going to change for them to want him back is going to be themselves. I understand that you want to create an opportunity, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing to allow there to be a safe opportunity for them to re-meet him. Hey, maybe like meeting a friend again. I'm like seeing like, hey, are you a good friend? Can we be friends? Do I feel comfortable and safe around you? Am I going to be what I need to be a friend? Or am I going to be guarded? Am I going to, at the sign of any sort of thing that goes wrong, I'm going to drop a hat and I'm going to be out of there? Because that's not good either. We've had times where we've had someone who, you know, uh, at least I believe it changed and changed for the better and could have been in a certain space. But because of some of the other people that were in that same space, and they had still been very wounded, and they needed to change themselves in order to have that space there, that person couldn't be in that space because the 2 couldn't be together because of a need, to fix that brokenness that wasn't being met. And so, yeah, they couldn't be back because that friend needed to take care of themselves too. And it's very important. And it's hard because it's like, oh well, then you're putting the needs of one person over the needs of another. But it's like it kind of comes down to the ultimately they need to resolve it, and if it can't be resolved, then you have to make it separate spaces, right? They If they can't be in the same space, then you've got to create another space where people would want to be with them. And if they don't, that's just, I guess, how the world works sometimes. It's not great, it's broken, but we live in a broken world where
Mhm.
people are broken by experiences and stuff that happens.
Mhm.
And so all we can really do is our best. So again, I'm going to reiterate, the person could change, when they change or if they change, they might become better and they might want to come back. But if your friends are still wounded, you shouldn't force it because you don't control what your friends feel. You don't control that person being in that group. You can give an opportunity of where it's like, hey, I'm going to hang out with this friend and we're going to like watch a movie together. Would you like to join us? It'll be a safe space, to let them have that neutral safe space where they could come to open their hearts again. But again, that's going to be your friends' decisions, not yours. So it's not good to promise something that isn't in your control on that. Obviously, I think you probably had said, that you'll try to talk to them, but again, they are people and they make their own decisions, and you got to respect that. That's very important. Um, 5, you can't be the person who helps them if you're the person who's drowning.
Mm.
Again, you have to be a rock. But if you're not in a good mental space, if you're not stable, if you've got other stuff going on, got a lot of responsibilities, all that, if you're not someone who can really, really be there, because from the sounds of it, this situation is, as Brian had already said, is going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of pain and suffering that you're going to have to endure without at all, probably showing any weakness yourself because you don't want them taking advantage of that. You don't want them trying to manipulate you like you're a tool. Um, that is a really tough place to be because you're going to be almost leaned upon by the weight of a whole other person that you're not even responsible for, but you'll be shoveled their responsibilities, or they'll try to. And you'll have to shovel them back at the person being like, no, you need to be the one who feeds yourself. You need to be the one that motivates yourself. You need to be the one that clothes and cleans and all of that. You got to do that. You got to do that. I'm here to be your friend, but you still got to do all your stuff. You got to turn in your homework. You got to do it. You got to do it on time. You got to do it well, you know, and it's really tough. And it's really tough when we get to point number 6, when someone gives a sort of ultimatum. That's a real big, huge red flag that just flies in the wind because they're trying to manipulate to have power over something, either because they might feel powerless, they might, only see one path forward, are blinded to it, and are stuck to it to the point where that's all they see. And they will do what it takes to get that because that's the only path they see forward. They don't see the path on the side or the path on the other side or the path that's right behind them. And it's very tough because you can't let them do that. But they also might be willing to do what they say. Most of the time, not. Most of the time, they throw it as a threat to get what they want. And then once the person backs off, then it's all they'll back off, and they'll be like, oh, not a big deal. I got what I want, and it's what I want, and woo. I'm not trying to make that to sound like they're evil. They're not. They're not evil. They again are stuck in a place where they see one path forward. That's all they see. But it's hard because they might do a threat and they might also follow through. And that's definitely, you need to get, professional help involved. But you also have to do it in a way that even if they were to do smaller things, that you have to tactfully not let them hold that power against you. Indifferent isn't quite the right way to put it because it's really tough and it's nuanced to how to be tactful in that is a skill that I don't think anyone will ever master. But it's yeah. But again, part of it is they have to recognize it for themselves, and what you're really trying to do as their friend is, one, be a friend that helps them know that they're loved, not in a way that makes them feel complacent or it goes to their head or anything like that, but also that they need to recognize stuff in themselves. And it's really hard because they're most of the time not going to recognize it. You can tell it point blank to their face. They're not going to recognize it. It's probably going to be painful for both of you. You know, you can tell them in a more subtle way, and they probably won't get through, and they'll probably still be hurt. And it's tough because helping somebody to recognize something they don't see is really hard. Because recognizing you have a problem and what that problem is half the battle. Half the battle is knowing there's a problem, knowing what the problem is, knowing where its true root lies in the depth of it. Because a lot of it, when they're doing an ultimatum sort of thing, is the real problem isn't what's going on. It's not at all about what they're requesting. It's nothing about that. It's about something very deep within them, something that's completely unrelated, but is very deep and something that is very important for them to get over, something that they really need to fix, and something that is core to who they think they are or who they are. At least that's been my experiences. And so it's a very tough place because they have to get there. And you can't get them there. You might be able to take a horse to a river, but you can't make it drink. Or at least that's the phrase. So, you know, that's one of the big cruxes of those, is that it isn't about whatever they're trying to make an ultimatum about. But getting them to find what the actual problem is going to be hard. And then from there, now they have the problem, now they have it in their hand, let's say they finally figured out, okay, this is the true root of the problem. It's probably a very tough problem considering its depth. And it's like, how do I fix this? And a lot of it usually has to be going through pain and suffering to understand, to get through, to get better, and doing things to change yourself, to get yourself to where you want to be at. To seeing what you should be looking at as what the goal is. And that's really tough, but it is a path that can be walked, one baby step at a time. And I'm going to give a shout out to Senna, because Senna has been just utterly incredible with that.
Mm.
From all the times I've seen it, you know, she's amazing. But anyways, I think that's all that I've got for now, so I'm going to turn it back over to Rye and let him do his spiel.
Yeah, sure.
But I will also say, I love you, Anonymous.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Princess, for that. I know that that's like definitely an area that you've had to go through in the recent past with a lot of people, and I think you did a really good job at going and explaining a lot of the intricacies and challenges that you can face, and really the insides of the person on the other side, and how to deal with them. So I think you did a great job. So thank you. So, yeah, hopefully you weren't at this point, I mean, hopefully, I can't say hopefully, you might be at this point, completely on the fence of, should I even do this? And that would be a completely fine place to be, and it should be where you should be, because it is a lot of undertaking. It is no easy challenge, and it isn't one that will necessarily build them. What will be interesting, I'll tell you this. If you take this challenge up, if you don't let it destroy you, it will build you. And that's oftentimes the beauty of the one who gets to behold the burden. It's not easy, right? It's not easy to behold the burden. It's not easy to be on this side. And I would wish it upon no one. Having been in this seat for like 10 years or more, with just various different people, for most of my life, honestly, it's been more than 10 years. It's been better half of my life, in the seat of being a person's crutch, helping them through something. And right now in my life, for the first time in a long time, well, okay, I was going to say I'm not really in that position, but I still am in a way. I just remembered someone now. So never mind, I can't say that. So anyways, it's no easy course traverse, but it has its ups. It has its downs, but it has its ups. So if you're on the fence, here's something that's important. If you have the will to help someone, then you should probably help them. But recognize that you're not always capable of helping that person all the way. I think what Princess said was important, especially in the manner of, you aren't responsible for them. And so you might be able to help in small ways by inspiring them, but don't take it upon yourself to decide that you're going to change. Because, like Princess said, like Joe said, they changed themselves. It's not your doing. But doesn't mean you can't inspire them or lead them on the right path. Doesn't mean, one thing that's beautiful is you get to be an inspiration. You get to be an example of someone that they can follow. And that's beautiful. If you have the desire in your heart to help, that's probably been put there for a reason. You can probably do a lot of good. But you have to know the boundaries. You have to recognize what you're getting into. And recognize that just because you have the desire to help, right? Just because you have the desire to help someone doesn't mean that you are the one, like that you're chosen, right? I think a lot of times when people experience this for the first, second, maybe third time, they look at themselves as if they are the chosen one. They have, they've been bestowed this great task to help this person who's going through a lot of issues. But what you end up recognizing is that you will only be humbled. In that, yeah, you're not the one to help them. You're someone who can help them, hopefully. Now, we can talk about some tactics if you want. If you want to go through this adventure, I'll give you some tactics that can help. Princess, I would listen to what Princess said a lot. That was great stuff. And also, one thing that's really important straight off the bat is what Joe said, and you've already got it right. This is a person underneath all of this. This isn't a garden of problems. You're trying to pull the weeds out. This isn't just a task or a failure. This is a person, a human being. And so, and you know that. That's why you have compassion for them. But you have to keep yourself straight in the way that you think about them, the way you interact with them. And what I mean by that is sometimes you're going to want to nurture them when they don't need to be nurtured. You need to be able to help them when they need to be helped. And sometimes that doesn't look like nurture. Sometimes that looks like pulling the weeds. Sometimes that looks painful, is painful for you. Sometimes it's going to be you not knowing you were going to stay up until 4 a.m. talking to this person who is putting all of their woes on you. And then you get up in the morning at 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whatever it is to go off to start your day. And you didn't think that your night was going to look like that. Is that glorious? Yeah, it is. Is it hard? Yeah, it is. But at some points, you have to draw lines. You have to make them recognize what they're costing you. Because if they don't recognize that, if they can't grasp that they're costing you something, that you're spending something out of your own time, out of your own pocket, out of whatever, to be with them, and they aren't appreciative and recognizing that, that's a pretty big red flag. And you're going to have to start knocking that red flag down. And it's not by ignoring it. It's not by saying, oh, it's okay. It is by being kind and gentle, but it's also by really trying to help them recognize that you're a human too. Right? Important. So here's some fun, interesting tactics to start on. One thing that I think is really helpful is if you're in a position where you're trying to help someone, ask them for help. Ask them for help. Why? It doesn't even have to be something important. It doesn't. But you need to spend time asking them for help. Because what it ends up doing is it builds a relational status, it builds respect, and it builds in them a sense of importance. And all three of those things are going to be very important on your journey through this. They need self-importance. They need that more than anything. Because unless they have self-importance, they are not going to work on themselves. And everything you do will not change a thing. It will stick around in their brain as little nuggets, and 20 years from now when they gain self-importance, they'll make the changes. Because of your actions that you spent on them and the little nuggets you put inside of them. But you don't want to wait 20 years for them to figure out self-importance. So self-importance is incredibly important. It's dire. Okay? So when you're dealing with someone like this, help them understand they're important. And one way to do that is, by staying up those hours and giving them that time. But that's not alone going to help them understand that they're valuable. They'll just take those things for granted because they don't recognize you as a person, that it's costing you. Right. Remember, you're just a shiny tool at this point. You are. And I hate to say that because you're like, oh, they're better than that. They might not be. They might look like it. But if they don't have self-respect for themselves, if they don't have self-importance for themselves, which is how they got into this position, someone who believes highly in themselves, right, doesn't tend to be the person that goes behind other people's backs and makes fun of them. Why? Because they don't need to do that and make themselves look good. They might complain about people from time to time, but they're not going behind people's backs, right? If you got self-importance and it comes from the right place, generally speaking, you're not the kind of person to get into this situation. So I can tell you, like with a 90% accuracy, this person doesn't have self-esteem. They look at themselves and they don't see the human. They don't see what's to love. They don't recognize themselves as important at all. So ask them questions where you're saying, can you help me? It can be about opinions, like, hey, I'm going to eat Pop-Tarts. What should I have this morning? It can be about deep things, deep conversations like, hey, I've got this friend. What should I do in this scenario? Like, I'm honestly curious. Do you have anything that you could help me with? Honest questions. Again, what that does is it puts into their brain they're worth something to you. That their opinion matters to you. You can spend all day consoling them, nurturing them. You can spend all day and every week spending time with them and saying, you're not bad, you're important, blah, 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 blah. They're not going to get it because they don't feel it. You need to ask them personal questions as if you're coming to them for help. It puts them on your playing field. What is the playing field? Self-growth. You ask them questions to help you grow. What does that do? It inspires them to start thinking about growth. It inspires them to start looking at themselves and recognizing, hey, I have something good to offer. And this person is looking at me, of all people, for help of this issue? they must think I'm important, smart, like I got answers, like I matter. Ask them questions. Again, what it does, self-importance, causes respect, puts you on the same level, puts the thinking in the right area of self-growth. All of those things are going to be needed for this. So it's one of the best tactics going forward at this moment. If you really want to help this person, ask them for help. Recognize they're a human being. Don't look at them like, don't you dare look at them like they're just a self-help. They're just a case. They're just a case where you need to help, and anything that they could help you with is clearly not going to be work because they're a mess, right? Anything that they say is not going to work for me because I'm the one trying to help them, and they're a mess. What they have to say is probably going to be stupid and unhelpful at all. I know them. They're going to blow it off and make fun of it. They're, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Get down on their level. Down on their level. If you're going to try to help them, ask them for help. You can't play the cards like you're the dealer. You got to be in the game with them. Does that make sense? You deal your own hands too. And you play back and forth. You don't just rule over the cards. Like you can try to trick them and cheat the game into them winning. Because it's not going to happen. They got to win their hand by their own actions, or it's not worth anything. So ask them questions. Or ask them for help, rather. That is one of the biggest tips I can give you. Other than all the other things that have been already spoken about just guarding yourself, and putting your boundaries down, and having respect for yourself, not to be trampled on. Yeah, there's a lot of tact that's needed. And it seems to me that you've already got good tact, else you wouldn't have wound up in this situation. If you didn't have good tact, you would have been one of the people that was left behind by them. They don't talk to. You have good tact, you have care, and that's why you're in this position. And it's not gonna be a happy place, but it can be. Can be. And I hope that it is. Might take some time. But the best way to help people in this world is through the adventure. Working it out together. Giving respect. And letting them come to respect you. If you respect someone and their opinions, they're more likely to respect you and yours. If you put yourself in a position where you're the helper and they're the helpee, you ain't gonna do crap. You ain't. You're not gonna make a difference. You're gonna make a difference 20 years down the road when they remember the things you taught them. But you're not the one that ends up being the one that takes them through the adventure to start thinking about changing. You can change people by your influence. Every moment that you spend with them, you rub off on them. That's true. It's true. But the big changes that need to happen in this case aren't going to happen that way. The big changes, they require someone to dive in deep into them and pull out the roots, the root causes, figure out what those are, and start working on them themselves. And I think what Joe said is one of the best ways to do it is through a therapist, because therapists are studied in that field of digging down and helping someone dig themselves down into the deep pits to find those roots, start pulling them out, fixing them. But you probably aren't exercised in that position. And I would say for most of my life, and even now in many cases, I am also not. So one of the best things you can do is hand it over to a professional, someone who is studied in the field, someone who is passionate about that field. Now, a lot of people, when you recommend them see a therapist, they're not going to want to. Why? Because they don't want help. They don't want your help. They don't want a therapist's help. They just want to get better. Does that make sense? They don't want help. They want to get better. They don't see getting better through getting help. So, yes. I would highly recommend training them to want to help themselves. You can do that by working on yourself in their presence. You work on yourself in their presence, that will inspire them to start thinking about working on themselves in your presence. You ask them for help, that'll start putting you on an equal level of you guys communicating and respecting each other and wanting to help each other grow. That puts them in the right mindset. Going to be necessary. And then when you start to see the fruits of them moving forward, of starting to think about themselves and saying, I can get better. And it's not going to look like, I'll tell you, a lot of people in these positions will write things that aren't true. They will write things in the chat to you about them wanting to get better and that they've been working on themselves. But they don't get it yet. They don't get it. They say that's what, and they believe in their hearts that that's what they're doing. But it's just not quite true. And how do you know when they've breached that? How do you know when they've breached the actuality of saying, oh, I really do, like, now I get it, it's clicking. Like, I have a desire for self-growth now. I have a desire for getting over all of this. One thing you'll recognize is that they'll be completely over. They will be 100% over the idea of getting back into that community. That won't even be on their mind anymore. They won't. They're going to be like, I'm over that. That's petty. They'll get it. It'll click. Another thing they might do is they'll finally start listening to your advice about going to see a therapist. So you're free to recommend a therapist, and I would highly recommend you recommend a therapist. But keep in mind, they're not going to do it until they're ready. And I hope that we as a collective have prepared you to help them into that position. Because ultimately, as we've said many times, and as Princess said very eloquently, you aren't responsible for them. So don't try to take their weight. But you should get on their level. Because it won't do you any harm to start trying to grow yourself too. And in my experience, in all of my life, the people I grow the most around, personally, even when I'm not even trying to, people I grow the most around are the people that are focused on growing themselves. When I was 16, 17, 18, I started to grow real quick. And one of those people in my life was Joe. And he was on a mission for self-growth. And it changed me. It changed me. Awesome. My brother too. And I can say that it's absolutely the case. When you want to help someone else, show them what helping yourself looks like. Get on that train with a passion and a fire. It makes you go, yes, I'm excited for self-growth. I have a close, dear friend right now. She is inspiring me by being that kind of person. She knows who she is. She's in the chat. I just don't want to call her out. Unless she wants to. But yeah, when you get around people who want for the future, who long for it, not petty things, not like getting back into communities, or like they really just want to go places. Suddenly you see yourself right on that train with them. and it's awesome. So if you want to help this person, my lesson for spending half a lifetime in this field, dealing with people like this, my biggest lesson to you, what I just said. Be the person convicted and passionate about future and growing towards it and becoming a better person. That is the train they need to hop on. If they can hop on that train with you, get off. Let them ride. But you don't need to. Can be a lifetime friend. Totally can be. Never know. So anyhow, that's what I got. Does anybody else have anything they want to add?
I certainly don't.
Okay. Well,
I don't know how I would follow that. Holy cow, I'm glad I went first. I was like opening band.
nah, man, you're awesome. I really appreciate what you said, so don't worry about it. You did great. You set some of the foundations, so we could talk.
You did great. Princess did great.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Nicholas, you're awesome, dude. Thank you. Yeah. So, thank you so much, Anonymous. This is a passionate area for, I think, me, probably Princess too. Really Joe as well, I'm sure, in different ways. So, all of us, really. I mean, helping people is what we're doing right now. So absolutely Joe too, in that regard, for sure. And Joe's helped me a lot. So, but anyhow, I'm proud of you, Anonymous. Proud of you. I understand the position. It's not easy. And I want to make sure you know that it's not going to be easy. But hopefully we prepared you with the right tools, the right understanding, and the right emotions to get in through this and be really productive in it, because I've spent a lot of time not being productive myself in the field, and it can be a challenge. So hopefully my failures, at least my own, can be of help to you, service. So thank you, Anonymous. Fantastic topic. We really appreciate you. Really appreciate your humility and your charity topic and what you're doing in the world. Awesome. Cool. Well,
everybody's doing thumbs up. I'm gonna do thumbs up too. Thumbs up, Anonymous.
Thumbs up, Anonymous. That sounds like a good name for someone. Sounds like a name, like you would write for like channel name.
Thumbs up, Anonymous.
Thumbs
My name
up
is Thumbs up, Anonymous.
Thumbs up, Anonymous. A thumbs up, Anonymous. A mom.
They call me the hip hopopotamus. My lyrics are bottomless.
Hey. Oh. Huh?
Hey, that's a great idea. I like that one.
What's that?
Let's do that topic.
Okay. Yeah, we have enough time to do that. So we're running towards the end of our show. We don't have a whole lot of time, but we can definitely do this topic. So this topic comes from Moonlit. Moonlit, hey, nice to see you. It's nice to have you here. I hope I didn't see them in the. Oh, maybe they didn't. Oh, maybe they didn't need to be in. But regardless, I hope you're doing awesome, Moonlit. You're always really nice to see. Moonlit is giving us a topic. It is titled Naming My D&D Character. That's right. Naming my D&D character. And Princess, whenever you are ready, you are free to...
I have a question. What do you amazing people think I should name my kobold rogue assassin for my next D&D campaign? I'm absolutely terrible at naming things. For some backstory, He's a kobold who always wears, or wears as much as possible, wears a teddy bear-like onesie. He got into the line of assassin work to make a friend and doesn't like to fight on fair terms, so he'll either surprise the enemy or group up on them. Thanks in advance from Moonlit.
That's
This
fun.
is interesting.
Yeah. That's such a fun topic. You know, I rolled with a kobold in a D&D campaign, Moonlit, if you might know that.
Crawl is adorable.
I knew it. I knew it. Crawl is Crawl because he can't pronounce his L's, so all the L's are just gargling. And yeah, from the moment I revealed the character, the D&D world, everyone present fell in love immediately with my kobold. And I would recommend working on your voice if you're going to do a kobold, because you can do a cute voice that everyone will like, or you can do a very dirty scalawag voice of some sort, probably higher pitched because kobolds are small, and that can be quite a character charmer too. If you want, I can give you the crawl voice if I can still do it. I did it. Yeah, okay, Francis wants me to do it. Oh my gosh, I haven't done this one. I did this once a couple of weeks ago, but it's gonna be hard.
Hi, my name is Carl, and I like to eat cheese. I also like, friends. That's nice. Yeah, they're nice.
So there you go.
It's almost Elmo with
It's almost
like
Elmo, but like, as you know,
a little different.
yeah, he likes to growl. He's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Elmo but better and less
It's
annoying.
kind of a
Yes.
cross between Elmo, Bibble, with a little bit of reptilian in there. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Bibble is from like Barbie or something. I think it's from the Barbie
interesting.
Fairies series.
Oh,
I
is it
like
the little
that a lot.
dragon?
No, it's a
Oh, it's a different
little
series that I'm thinking.
puffball. It's kind of like a
Oh.
bee, but not.
Okay, yeah, I've not seen that. So, anyways,
It's yeah. Anyway.
yeah,
sorry.
have fun with it. I don't know, maybe you're not into the voice acting, but I really like it. I think that's one of my favorite aspects is getting into the character with some voice acting. So, yeah. Anyways, without further ado, I'm gonna give it over to Joe and see what he's got for names.
I don't have names. I'm gonna refer to you guys, actually, or defer to you guys. But I do find it interesting. He got into the line of assassin work to make a friend.
Yeah, of all things.
Yeah, like, hey, I want to learn how to kill people so I can have friends.
You learn to kill, you'll learn to have friends.
That's right, man. Hey, well, I mean, hey, there are people who are assassins, and if you want to be friends with assassins, you know.
Oh, you could be a lady killer. Oh, you could also be a lady killer. Both of them make. Ooh, yeah.
Oh my! Princess has something to say.
Yeah, go for it, Princess.
The instant name that I want to give this character is Teddy.
Perfect.
Why? Because he's wearing a teddy bear onesie. So
Yeah.
it's like Teddy, but then you give him a title. Because obviously, if he's a part of the assassin, and this is where you might need to come up with some of your own, but like you kind of have like a title with it, right? Like if they're an assassin, they've got some sort of code name, right? Their code name could be Teddy if you wanted it to be, but you know, I think it's funny. You know, like I think of Teddy and I think of Teddy Roosevelt, then I think of a bear, teddy bear. So I think Teddy would work really well. But you could give it a Teddy the Bold, or you know, some sort of word in there. There's plenty of online resources that you can get for name generators that'll just throw things at you. If you want some sort of more exotic, fancier name, you can look up dragon or kobold or dragonborn. You know, you can look up name generators, look for something that tickles your fancy. You could do titles. There's all sorts of different things, city names. There's all sorts of different generators you can get stuff for. Otherwise, you can look up adjectives. Adjectives are great. Because then you can use those like the quick, or you know, I guess if I take 5 minutes to look up.
That worked. That was good.
Yeah. Anyways, just look up a bunch of
That is
adjectives,
quick.
and you can, you know, get a list of something that might tickle your fancy. You could do Teddy the illiterate. Or something, you know, just something that you could really get into. And maybe it's illiterate of like he can't read, but he doesn't need to read to do what he does best, which might be like he's really good at picking locks. So it's like read Schmeat. I'll just open this. They're in. Oh no, this led into a room because I didn't read that this said sharks inside. I didn't realize I was opening a fish tank and now we're all drowning in water and sharks.
Mm.
But really have fun with it because it's creating a story. You don't need to be crazy and have like a whole big thing, but really come up with, maybe a line or two or a paragraph, a small paragraph of what kind of person you want to play. And it doesn't have to be who you are. It can be somewhat who you are. It could be completely different than who you are. It could be some amount of you, some amount of not you, or something you want to, try out. But, you know, y- you could come up with a billion names. You could come up with something with meaning. If you want something that means teddy bear in a different language, another great way to come up with names. You know, if you like meaning, you could come up with some other meaning, that goes with it that you attach. Something that means like quiet or, quick-footed. But anyway, that's just where I'm at. If I had to name this character, I would definitely name it Teddy and then add some sort of name on it. Like I know Teddy the Bold probably doesn't make sense, but it would also be funny because he'll surprise you.
Mm.
So it's like it's Teddy the Bold. Surprise! I am Teddy the Bold, and now you die. Pew 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 pew.
Yes, laser guns sold separately.
Anyway,
Nice.
that's all I've got. I'll turn it back over.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think
I was
that's great. Mhm.
I was thinking you could name him Krampus.
Krampus. Honestly, that's actually
Yep.
not bad.
Emphasis on the pus.
Puss.
Like a
I don't
cat?
know. No, Krampus.
Krampus.
I don't know.
Um,
Krampus the kobold.
yeah, Krampus the Kobold. I actually like that. For kobolds, I'm not super heavy into D&D lore, but I did read a lot of the lore for kobolds. And something that I usually go for, or rather, I would go for a kobold, is a one-syllable name. Kobolds tend to work in large groups. I can't imagine them wanting to say long names. Plus, their vocabulary is somewhat not perfect. So I think the one-syllable names really suit their intelligence. Now, you to some degree, they can be smart, of course. They are very. It's not that they're not intelligent; they are very intelligent, but they're very tricky things. So they like to make contraptions, do things that are a little bit fun. But anyways, Krampus, it's a two-syllable word. I would accept that too. I wouldn't go beyond that. I think that's pretty good.
Ford.
What?
Ford.
Ford. Ford.
F-150.
Wow. Yeah.
Apologies.
Nice.
I'm just saying words now.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Very good. That's how you do it. That's how
I'm
you
gonna
do
mute
it.
myself.
That's
Oh.
word generation. You make a list of words and then you start checking them off the list and then coming back and then checking them off a second time because you really decide you really didn't like it.
Yes. You could do something that requires a gargle or sort of a growl, like a hawk. My name is
Ooh.
Hawk. That's like a lot of dragon things do that, but they're being kobolds. They originated as dog creatures and became lizard creatures throughout the course of history. As weird as that is. But they are known for barking and growling noises and stuff like that. So adding a growl to the name seems like a fun concept to me. So that's kind of where I ended up with Crawl. Though everyone just called him Crawl because that's a lot easier for people to make a growl. Yeah. So yeah, I'm if you come up with one, Moonlit, please let us know. I'm interested to see what you come up with. But I don't really have any solid names. I do. Teddy's not bad. And adding adjectives like the fierce can be fun, especially as code names. Obviously, that isn't the real name, but it's like what you're called. And the funny thing is, anyone can come up with their own, so they can call themselves fierce even if they're not. I'm Teddy the Fierce. I wouldn't kill a fly. No. Yeah. But anyhow,
I
yeah,
only
thanks.
became an assassin to make friends.
Yeah, right?
I didn't really want to kill anybody. I
Yeah.
just wanted to make friends.
I just wanted friends, and that was the only job opportunity that seemed like that I could. Um. So yeah, I think
Man, check
that's
out some of the
interesting.
chat. The chat's got some great ones.
Yeah. Awesome. Out Tadatos? Really, Terry? Tadatos?
Tadatos.
Or is it Tadatos? Okay.
Tadatos. Tadatos.
Bellerophon Amicitia. Wow. Hachi. Yeah. Thanatos. that's a good one. Yeah, Thanatos. Diablos.
Become my friend or perish by my blade.
Oh, I like that. Nice, Baka. Oh, that's great.
You can call me Thanatos the Grand. But
Mhm.
for short, you may call me Teddy.
Yes.
What? It's an intimidating name, I promise. You shall fear Teddy.
Everyone's afraid of bears. Wow. Oh, I will kill you. My bear claws. Wow. Hold on, let me put my bear gloves on 1 second. Wow, I got bear claws. Fear me.
Yeah. There you go. Bear violence.
My.
Yeah, just keep in mind that if you do a real dirty voice like that, that's high and weird, people will ask you to repeat yourself multiple times in the campaign because it can be hard to understand.
And because they just want to hear it.
And because they just want to hear it. Right.
And you can just speak in your normal voice if you need to. Like
Yes.
don't hurt your voice too much. Make sure you have plenty of water.
Yeah. Actually, I would recommend not even water. I would recommend something that produces phlegm in your throat if you're going to do a growling voice. Water doesn't help.
Do you have an example of what that sort of liquid would be?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of energies with taurine in it. Taurine produces phlegm in your throat, which is nice for it, but obviously energy drinks are healthy. You could try milk, Easy recommends. Milk will give you a unsteady phlegm. It's still useful. You might find yourself in pitches you didn't expect, but milk is helpful. And then, of course, Mountain Dew isn't a bad one, and that happens to be like the D&D people's drink, Mountain Dew, so you could do hot water with lemon and honey. No, I would actually say no to that. Hot water with lemon and honey is not bad for your vocal cords, but it doesn't produce phlegm. The lemon is an acid which takes away the phlegm, and while the acids can produce phlegm in your throat by attacking your throat, and causes your throat goes, oh, there's acids on my throat, I'm going to produce phlegm. Problem is, you've got lemon, which is an acid that takes away phlegm, with water, and it's hot, which makes the phlegm loose, meaning that it will move more fluidly back down your throat. And the honey isn't a phlegm producer, it attaches to your phlegm and makes it down. So hot water, lemon, and honey can be good for singing if you're trying to go for a clear voice, but it's not good if you're trying some growling. Yeah, you want to be careful with alcohols. Alcohols are not good for your throat if you're going to be doing a lot of talking or a lot of growling. You will find yourself with a damaged throat. So, yeah, Mountain Dew has citrus in it, which can produce, produce phlegm, but it has also syrup in it, corn syrup specifically, which coats your larynx and helps a lot. And those are some examples. But yeah, you can look at more if you want online. I'm sure they've got a list, maybe. Mountain don't. Thanks, Terry. Awesome. Oh, yeah. Anyhow, eggs. Just brings eggs.
Yeah.
Like a
Spray
kobold
paint.
would. A kobold would do it. You just bring a glass of egg in it to your D&D campaign and be like, hey, I'm embracing koboldness.
Mm-hmm.
People will be freaked out by you. But anyhow, yeah. Does anyone else have anything they want to say before we just shut it down?
I'm good.
Okay, great.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, chat, you guys are so funny. Thank you all for joining us here on this Don't Worry Wednesday. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. You guys are witty, you guys are funny, and you guys have really great wisdom to add into conversations. But even if you don't do any of that, we really appreciate you for joining, and being a part of Don't Worry Wednesday, supporting it, and also just helping the world be a better place, because that's ultimately what we're doing. And so I appreciate it. So yeah, if you want to join us for the next Don't Worry Wednesday, hop on, same time next week. You can send a topic into don'tworrywednesday.com. And other than that, we love you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, see you guys later. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Love you guys.
Bye. Peace.